Mom definitely blamed Edie, but I think Louis blamed himself. After he graduated, he just spent more and more time in his room. Until Mom got him a job at the cannery.
That's right, Louis is the one who got the job at the cannery and kept bringing home salmon. I almost said salmon. Can we go down, please? Thank you.
Louis's room smelled very, very familiar. That part of him lived on.
Atta boy, Louis. This is my streaming setup.
Dear Mrs. Finch, as Louis's psychiatrist, I can understand your desire for an explanation. As I see it, the trouble began in January, shortly after we convinced your son to seek treatment for substance abuse.
Oh, God.
Newly sober, I believe Louis first noticed the monotony of his daily life. He kept working at the cannery. But he withdrew part of himself. In our sessions, I saw the same behavior. His mind began to
What?
wander.
Oh. Whoa. It's kind of crazy. I'm like cutting heads off of fish.
I
with
asked
one
him to describe
joystick.
it. He said he started small, imagining a
I guess this is
labyrinth.
what he was doing, like at his actual job.
He'd feel his way about. Then something moved. Bats
Bats.
and toads. And things that have not names. He knew it was all in his head.
Totally messed up with this fish.
But he took it very seriously. I had hoped he'd find himself.
Oh, red carpet.
But he found something more.
Lit a bonfire in circles.
I worried
this
about
actually
him
very
then.
cool. How you tell the stories.
Daydreaming at the cannery.
Very innovative.
I spoke with his boss. But he said Louis had become a model employee. Methodical, tireless, focused.
Definitely not focused.
Like a whole new Louis. So I let him go on. I even encouraged him.
He is doing good
It seemed
work.
very promising at first. He told me he'd made a new friend. On the edge of a city he named Louis. He built the city up slowly, brick by brick.
Huh.
Then he made musicians.
I like how it's starting to slowly take over the whole screen. And like overtake the cannery job. He was focusing on this more.
And songs
That's
for them
very
to play.
smart.
He talked about starting a
I
band.
keep missing.
And he was always humming something. Every day his imagination grew stronger. He no longer spoke at the cannery. But his chopping was as reliable as ever. Then one day it struck him that all the cheering crowds, even the stones under his feet, were all in his imagination.
Yeah.
So he could do whatever he wished. He held an election for mayor. And he won. They begged him to stay, but his mind was already wandering. It became a game for him. He'd conquer a city, then immediately push on.
Like Alexander the Great.
New Louisville.
New Louisville. Oh god, I'll crash.
St. Louis. He started drifting away from our reality.
What's this one called?
Minneapolis. Until one day he forgot to go home from the cannery. Even as his mother pleaded with him, part of Louis kept sailing on.
Oh, dang. He was so into it. He like never even saw his mom.
In
So,
Louisburg, he heard rumors of a handsome queen. The queen was on her own quest for
Sinister serpent.
sinister serpents.
Oh jeez.
He followed the sound of her
Silver harp, let's go.
silver harp. His chase led him to a golden palace east of the sun and west of the moon. Even then, his logic remained sound.
It's literally the whole screen.
He knew the world was all in his imagination.
I love what they did here. They made it the whole screen, but you still are chopping off fish heads because you had just been doing it and shit.
But he was so
But not
proud
just
of having
now.
created it.
You know exactly where everything is.
In his own eyes, he'd become something greater than a king.
Oh god.
For someone who'd never known success in the real world, I think it was overwhelming. And then it struck him that the real Louis was not the one chopping salmon, but the one climbing the steps of a golden palace. My imagination is as real as my body, he told me. It was hard to argue with him.
Whoa. I'm assuming this is his locker.
He began to
Yep,
forget the
definitely is.
world we know. I think it pained him to remember Louis, the cannery worker.
He imagined a great world and a great, like, vision of himself.
He began
and
to
then he had
despise the
come back
man with
to
a royal
reality.
contempt.
Not even picking up a fish. That's how monotonous it became.
I still thought I could save him. Even after he said he was being crowned king over all the lands of wonder. The palace would be packed with his companions. Including the wise Calico who had insisted on inviting him. His queen waited, holding his crown. There was only one thing left to do. Bend down his head.
Oh. What?
And the rest I think you know. Mrs. Finch, your son was a kind man who will be missed by all of us who knew him.
Oh. Okay. So in his imagination, as he was getting crowned,
My brother was really cool. I wish you could have met him.
he just put his head into the fish chopper. Oh. I was super confused, but then once I pieced it together, I was like, oh. Dang. Because, like, his imagination, he was so into it, it just looped over into reality. So when he put his head down, because in reality he thought he was actually being crowned as, like, a king, but he just chopped his head off.
Lewis and I spent a lot of time playing games together, but he was surprisingly bad at them. He died a lot.
That was very... that was tough, man.
On the way back from Lewis's funeral, my mom told me to start packing. She waited until the day before we left to tell Edie.
She was out.
I'm not sure if she wanted to make it easier or harder.
She was just done with it.
I wish we'd stayed. But I understand why we left.
Was this Dawn's room?
My mom ended up leaving everything behind. What happened that night had been coming for a long time. Maybe it should have come sooner.
What is it that happened that night?
But it had to end one way or another.
She
All that's
jumped
left
off.
now is to tell you about that last night.
Has Edith been dead this whole time? Oh no, she's writing a no. Edith Finch.
That whole last day, Edie just watched us pack and didn't say a word. Until supper, when she raised her glass and said,
"To our final night together, and all our final nights apart."
Grandma, you know what I said about alcohol. Some of your medications are very
Edith,
specific.
I left a present for you in the hallway. Why don't you go open it? The grown-ups have to argue now.
I'm sorry, you're right. We're all leaving tomorrow. Let's just enjoy our last...
I'm not leaving.
Edith, you're excused.
They're gonna
The
get
power
into a
had been
huge
shut off that
argument.
morning, but Edie always had plenty of candles.
I feel like Don
When my mom
kills
sealed the
Edie.
library, I don't think she knew about the other entrance. Or that Edie had a key to it.
Maybe? I don't know. That might be far-fetched.
That thing you're afraid of isn't going to end when you leave the house. Edith has a right to know these stories.
My children are dead because of your stories. I think it's best if Edith and I leave tonight. We'll have the nursing home send a van for you in the morning. Okay?
History of the Finches by Edie.
Dear Edith, there's so many stories I wish I could tell you, but there's only time for one. This is about what happened on the night you were born. That night, the tide went way, way out. It was the first and last time I ever saw the old house aground. There'd been an earthquake out in the middle of the ocean. They called it the lowest tide in 1,000 years. God, it smelled awful. You know, I've seen that house every day of my life. But I
Who are we
never
playing
thought
as
I'd
right
go
now?
back to it.
I guess Edie? 'Cause she just said I
When the
never thought I'd
fog
go back to
rolled
it.
in, I lost my way.
Yeah.
I got turned around.
Okay. This is annoying.
I started seeing things.
Huh.
Things I'd forgotten had ever existed.
I don't know
But
where I'm
when
going.
I saw them, they felt like old friends. That night, a lot of things came back to me.
Ah.
Or maybe I came back to them. Things I can't explain, but that I need you to try and...
Edith, what are you doing in here?
It's mine!
Edith!
Mom, you're gonna rip it! Let go! I kicked
Oh my
and screamed,
God.
but Mom dragged me to the car. I never saw
Turn
Great Grandma
on the
Edie again.
lights. Oh, Edie.
The next morning, the van came to pick her up, but she was already gone.
Gone isn't dead, or just like
After that, we moved around a lot.
went away?
We both tried to make the best of it. A few years went by.
This is a very cool shot.
My mom didn't like to talk about it. But she started getting sick a lot.
She have cancer.
The rest happened pretty quickly. She got better for a while, and then she didn't. And then I was alone. The the last Finch left alive. Until I found out about you.
Huh.
I'm still not sure what to tell you about all this. If we lived forever, maybe we'd have time to understand things. But as it is, I think the best we can do is try to open our eyes. And appreciate how strange and brief all of this is. This journal was supposed to be for you. But now I hope you'll never see it. I just want to meet you. And tell you all these stories myself. But I guess if you're reading this now, things didn't work out that way.
Dang.
This is where your story begins. I'm sorry I won't be there to see it. It's a lot to ask, but I don't want you to be sad that I'm gone. I want you to be amazed that any of us ever had a chance to be here at all. Good luck.
Oh. So does she die during childbirth? The story by Giant Sparrow. That was a good game. Very short, but very sweet, very good. Very everybody's gone to the rapture-esque, but I think this is better. Dang, dude. That was good storytelling. That was a good story. I'm like really depressed. San Juan Ale. Alright, well, I definitely enjoyed that. That was a very unique. I know I said innovative like 2 or 3 times, but I mean that's what this game is. It's innovative. It's very unique ways. It was a very unique way to tell a story that I don't think I've ever really seen, at least in video games. I guess the closest thing I can think of is like a 13 Reasons Why, but like, not really. I mean, in terms of the way they tell the story. But yeah. I enjoyed that game. I'm probably just gonna let the credits roll, so yeah. Alright. Very, very, very good game.